Yeah, this creepy campground is now abandoned. Last week I was planning a road trip with my girlfriend and I stumbled across this place. It's only accessible via logging road, so not many people ever find it. Even fewer stay there overnight. So I thought it would be a great romantic getaway. It was about a 6-hour drive from our home and we hit the road right after work. We made it to the turnoff in the early evening. I parked the car and started walking toward the lake with a backpack full of camping gear. When we got to the lake, we pitched our tent and set up camp. Most nights we don't use a tent and we like to sit around a fire, but because the area is heavily forested, all of the wood was soaked and even dry materials wouldn't catch a spark. I found a few larger logs and used a ferrocerium flint and steel set to try to get a fire going. It took a while, but eventually I got a small fire started. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep us warm for the night. While I was gathering wood, my girlfriend was reading from a book. She looked up and asked if she could use the ferrocerium. She loves playing with things like this. She tried using it near the fire, but she said she didn't have much luck. She walked off a little ways, picked up a log, and banged the ferrocerium against it. Nothing happened. After a while, she dropped it, and it skittered off down the bank and landed at the edge of the lake. I told her to forget it, and we should probably go to bed. She agreed, and we crawled into our tent for the night. I can't speak for my girlfriend, but I had a hard time sleeping. There was some ambient noise in the woods, which is normal, but it seemed a little excessive. Every 10 minutes or so, there was a snap, a creak, or some other sound. The wind was blowing pretty hard, but it didn't seem to make any of those sounds. In fact, it didn't sound like anything I've ever heard in a forest before. Still, I tried to shake it off and fall asleep. A little after midnight, my girlfriend woke up and asked what that noise was. She was half asleep and mumbling, so I asked her to repeat herself. She said she heard a big thump in the trees and asked if I'd heard it. I hadn't. I told her to go back to sleep, and I think she did. About 20 minutes later, I heard it too. At first, it sounded like heavy footsteps. They came closer and closer, and then there was a loud smack, like something hitting the side of the tent. I grabbed my girlfriend's shoulder and whispered, "What was that?" She was awake in an instant. She said, "I don't know," and quickly started looking for something in her backpack. While she was digging through her stuff, whatever was outside the tent started to move around again, but it didn't make any more noise. She found what she was looking for and handed it to me. "What do you think it was?" she asked. All I could do was shrug. She turned on the flashlight and handed it back to me. "Go see," she said, motioning toward the tent opening. I crawled out of the tent and stood up. My girlfriend stayed in the tent. I scanned the area with the flashlight, but I saw nothing. Everything was dark and shadowy. There was no sign of anything being out there. I went back into the tent and told her I didn't see anything. She wanted me to go back out, but I refused. I told her to trust me. I didn't see anything out there. She argued with me for a bit, but eventually she gave up, and we both tried to go back to sleep. In the morning after, of course, I slept very little. We packed up and left. On the drive home, we talked about what we had experienced, and we decided that we never wanted to go back there. I was skeptical, but I agreed. For years after that, whenever I would hear a noise in the middle of the night, I would wake up and tell my wife, "See, I told you." She would always laugh and say, "Well, it's your fault we're alone in the middle of nowhere. Our house isn't in the middle of nowhere. Sure, it's rural, but it's not in the middle of nowhere." Years went by and we moved into town. We now live in a neighborhood. Even here, sometimes late at night, I will hear a thump or a knock. Every single time I wake up and wonder if it's outside the house. Every time I convince myself it's just pipes or settling in the house. I'm sure you guys have heard noises in the middle of the night. Tell me, am I crazy? Or are there really things out there that want to get in your house? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please hit that like button and check out more of my content. Thanks. Bye.